Today, President Obama announced that he is dissolving his so-called Jobs Council that began in 2011, and it hasn't even met once in the past year. Now, yesterday's GDP decline and today's jump of 38,000 in new jobless claims really makes this an untimely end for the Jobs Council. Here now to talk to about us is Kansas Republican Senator Jerry Moran. Senator Moran, you were working with the Jobs Council, were you not?
Absolutely, and I think they have a collection of very valuable members of the business community with expertise that members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, found valuable. They relied upon it. They had credibility. And while they haven't met for a year, and while I'm always interested in getting rid of unnecessary government bureaucracies, bureaus, commissions, and committees, this is one that I think could be very helpful, has been very helpful, and I'm disappointed to see it come to an end.
But I thought this really was just kind of show horse stuff, window dressing stuff, trying to say to the public, hey, I really don't think they're all fat cat bankers. Some of these are good businessmen. I mean, I never saw some major substance come out of this.
Well, I would say that this is evidence one more time of the president appointing a commission, appointing a committee, and then not even utilizing it for the value that it could provide. Bowles-Simpson is the major example of that, in which many people thought there was an opportunity to come together with a proposal that made sense. And the recommendations that the President's Jobs Council have made have been ones that we've used. It's in our creation of legislation called Startup 2.0. Designed to create jobs, to grow the economy, to improve entrepreneurship and innovation. But also the jobs bill that Congress actually passed was a result of some of the recommendations of the President's Jobs Council. And again, perhaps this demonstrates that while it had value, maybe it was just a showcase for the president to pretend that something was happening. And now that the election is over, no longer necessary to pretend.
I mean, there's some very big picture items in this Jobs Council, big picture stuff that I really like. For example, full-fledged corporate business tax reform and reduction. I think that would have been fabulous. You mentioned deregulation a few moments ago, which is in your 2.0. The council also said, let's create some fiscal certainty. Let's cut spending. Let's reform entitlements. Let's get the deficit down. In other words, big picture stuff that never really surfaced in the Obama administration.
It absolutely didn't. And again, perhaps that's a reason that the council is going away. The recommendations that the big picture items that the council recommended were never really adopted by the Obama administration, never pursued, despite the fact that these are people the president appointed and have significant business experience. And somebody that, again, that would lend credibility to us as Republicans and Democrats in Congress as a way to come together to get this country's economy moving. In my view, the situation has not changed. In fact, as we saw by the numbers you just reported, the lack of jobs, the slowing of the economy are still here, and perhaps getting more evidence that things are going in the wrong direction, not the right direction, and all the more reason to have something to coalesce around. The darn partisanship of Washington, D.C., the differences between the White House and Congress. This was an organization that could help us bridge those gaps, and I appreciate every time that I could say to my Democrat colleagues that the proposals that we have in Startup 2.0 are things that have been supported by the President's Jobs Council.
Yeah, trouble is, they haven't even met in the last year. One last one, Senator Moran. We're coming down to the short strokes on the across-the-board automatic spending budget sequester. Are you going to be in favor of that sequester?
Well, I'm in favor of the $1.2 trillion being spent, that's being spent that should not be spent. We have to find the cuts. Today, the Senate agreed with the House and passed an extension of the debt ceiling, raised the debt ceiling for the future. And I didn't vote for that. There were no cuts included in that bill. The only cut that we've ever come up with is this part, this $1.2 trillion that because the committee, the special select committee, couldn't come up with spending reductions, we're now going to have as part of sequestration. And the sad thing is that that's such a small amount of money. I don't like the cuts that are there, so I'd like to see them replaced with something else. I don't really believe in across-the-board cuts. I think that's irresponsible. But in the absence of cutting spending someplace to replace those 1.2,
you got to take it when you can get it. You got to take it when you can get it. I mean,
this is the only way we're going to get it.
Nobody in Congress wants. There's never a good time to cut spending. It's one of the things I've learned. I guess I saw it years ago when I worked down there. But reporting on this thing night after night, one of the things I learned, Senator Moran, is it's never a good time to cut spending. So March 1st is an interesting deadline. Let's cut spending. Anyway.
I'm not voting to set the sequestration aside unless we cut the 1.2 trillion someplace else.
All right. Well, good luck on that. Senator Jerry Moran, Kansas. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.